Tyler, you guys obviously return a lot of key pieces. You're three of them right there. At the same time, there's a lot that's changed since last year. New coach, a lot of other new pieces. Can you just talk about what the process has been like in attempting to mesh all of that together and what the progress is at that point?
Yeah, there's a lot of changes when you go through a coaching change. Just a lot with like terminology and just the way he coaches and the way he coaches or whatever. But practice is ran different, and just the entire program is ran different. So all of that has taken some time to adjust. But and as well as we've got 5 new freshmen and a couple of transfers. So just all those pieces took a little bit this fall to get going. But we're in our 3rd week of practice now, I think, and things are looking really well.
Trey, on that line, Tyler mentioned all the differences within the program and just in terms of how things are run. What are some? Can you pinpoint some of those as to how things are different now than they were your first couple of years here?
Yeah, like he's saying, I mean, clearly when we have a new coach, I mean, he has, Smith had his ways and Coach Lee has, his own things. So we clearly have to learn those, and we have to get acquainted with the new players as well and get them up to speed. I mean, but at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, so there's things that, don't change. And us being here and having those returners, it just kind of makes things go a little smoother. I mean, we still have things we're learning and trying to improve on. But when you have experience, like you can help other players get up to speed and just make the transition easier and quicker for everyone else.
I think one area in particular that I think our team is really going to benefit this year on, and I think a lot of the guys really like, is just the focus on detail that he really puts on. I mean, every play we run and everything we do, every screen we set, it's down to the dime exactly how he wants us to set the screens, and defensively it's not, when we do something certain on defense, whether it's switching or doubling the post or whatever that is, he has exactly how we want to do it, and he doesn't accept anything less. So I think that's an area that he's really been focusing on. I think that's going to be one of our biggest strengths this year.
No, I mean, what we've been big on these first couple weeks of practices have really been paying attention to detail. So I mean that's obviously very important. And yeah, kind of what Hag said. If I'm running my hardest and Tyler Peterson isn't running his hardest, we're not going to be able to complete the play that we're trying to do. So that's really just what we got to do.
Tristan, it seems like a big part of this process with the new coach is developing some faith in your new coach. What has that process been like for you guys, and how is it going?
The process is going very well. When Coach Lee got hired, obviously, guys are down about Smith leaving and whatnot, but I think if you ask everyone on the team, we love Coach Lee and what he's bringing to this program, and we're really buying into what he wants us to do, and what he wants us to do is going to help us be very successful.
Trey, as they talk about changing pieces, look at just your team and the guys that you're on the court with. Obviously, some of that changed with new guys coming in, whether it's been transfers or freshmen. Who are some of the guys who have stood out to you maybe in practice? It's going to help this team be successful.
I mean, I feel personally that basically the entire team has taken a lot of leaps, and a lot of people have gotten a lot better. I mean, we're still a lot of guys are competing and trying to get better and prove what they can do. So it's still kind of unclear to like what guys, what everything's going to be. But it's going to be a really interesting team and a really excited team, very versatile. So just still trying to figure things out and see who's going to earn those spots through competing and finish up these last couple practices.
When you look at the schedule, Tyler, you could start with this. Obviously very challenging non-conference. Are you guys? Is that something that excites you guys? Just knowing what Coach Lee and his staff were able to put together for you?
Yeah, I mean we love that. We love a challenge. I mean that's what we're here for. We don't want to go out and just play a bunch of low major D1s. We're We're really excited for the challenge, and it really gets going right away. I think our Bahamas trip is going to be extremely challenging. I think that's really going to show a lot. It's going to be probably really highly on our returners and to see what our team is looking like right now. But I think after that trip, we're going to really going to get an identity of where we're at, and after that, then it just gets harder and harder with Colorado State, Kansas, and so I know our team's going to be really up for the challenge, and we're just excited for that this year.
Are there any specific points that your offensive and defensive systems have changed this year compared to last?
I mean, we have terminology, so I mean that's one, and just knowing the terminology and like they said, like we were talking about earlier, just details. Like we know exactly what he wants in each in the situation. So I would say that's pretty much the main thing that I can think of right off the top.
Tristan, from everything we've heard, you're going to be sharing maybe point guard go 1 and 2 this year. Is that an adjustment that you're comfortable with, looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do whatever is asked of me. In high school, I kind of played off ball a little bit too, so, it's not completely new to me. As times change, kind of roles change as well. So, I'll be playing a little 2, but I'll also be playing a little 1, and I'm excited about it. I think it'll be good for our team.
Trey, as you consider the skill set of all the guys on the team, obviously you're very familiar with the guys next to you, but everyone as a whole, is there one specific attribute that you feel like this team is stronger with than it might have been a year ago?
I mean, I feel like this team, we have better overall size, and I think that we're very versatile. I think we have multiple guys that can do multiple things. Like, for instance, Tristan just sliding over to the 2, being able to, take that role. Then clearly Hags isn't a traditional 5. He can do multiple things. And we have some guys coming in like Matt Johns who can do multiple things. And I just think this team is very versatile, and we've brought in a lot of size. And I think it's just different compared to how we were in the past. So I would say we're just more versatile and have people that do multiple things.
I do want to thank everybody for coming. This is what we tell our recruits is the media coverage is very important. They see that. I came from Phoenix, which is a pro sports town, and if we had media day, Coach Marley would go out there, and there'd be one reporter out there. So if you can imagine, and so it is very important for our players. It's very important for our program. To have the media. Everybody likes that, so we really appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you very much. It's been a very busy spring and summer for me, my family, our staff. The first thing I wanted to do was get to know our players, and you know that we've had some changes on the roster, but the biggest thing was to get to know our current players. That's the #1 priority. We had a lot of meetings with them. We went through individual work. We went through some practices. I've watched every one of our games from last year to get to know their game and what they need to work on and what they do well, because they've had success here. So I've spent a lot of time watching film, getting to know what they do, and we're going to do a lot of the same things. Some things we're going to do different. The other thing that we had to do was hire staff, and that was a process in the spring. And then the last thing to do, which you don't want to do, have a lot of games to schedule, but we did in the spring, because whenever there's turnover, you're going to have scheduling difficulties, and we had a lot of games to schedule in the spring, so we had to do that. I will say that very fortunate to have the 3 young men that were up here today. Tyler Hagedorn, Trey Birch-Manning, and Tristan Simpson. And I'll add Tyler Peterson. Those are our 4 leaders of our program. And they're great young men. the one thing I told our guys after being here for a month or two, I didn't hear anything but positive comments about them as people in the community, on campus, from our administration, which says a lot about them as young men. They're our leaders. They're great young men. It is always difficult when you take over a program because I didn't recruit them. And so now becomes the trust issue, how they trust you, building that trust with them, and then also understanding what they do well and what they need to work on, and then pushing them to do that. Because, you know, you do have to push them. You do have to get them better, but they're great young men. This is my 4th program that I've taken over or helped taken over in the last 20 years. I took over UC Irvine with Coach Douglas in 1997. They were 1-26 when we got there. They had 1 win at Division I. They were the worst team RPI in the country. I went to Kentucky Wesleyan as a head coach. They were on 3 years NCAA probation, reduced scholarships, and had no roster. Absolutely not one player returning on a roster, and that was in May. And then we took over GCU, and Coach Marley and I, and we were a Division II program that was going Division I. So I feel very fortunate to have those young men, the young men we have left in the program, to help build this program and get it better and better. You know that we did have roster changes. Matt Mooney and Walter Prevost did transfer. Dan Jeck is going to medical this year. He hurt his knee last spring, and he still is not 100%, so he's going to medical, but he will be part of the program. The 3 freshmen that they did sign did not enroll at USD. We went out and we signed 3 freshmen, and we feel very good about them. And we also signed 2 grad transfers, Cody Kelly and Jay Harvey. Both of them will help. Cody's a point guard, as you know. He's going to help take the ball handling responsibility a little bit away from Tristan, or help him out. And we're going to move Tristan off the ball and put him a little bit more of a scoring role, but Tristan will also play point guard. Jay Harvey is a post player, big body, strong, good rebounder, needs to get in better shape, but he's going to help with our post depth. The 3 freshmen we did sign, we feel very good about: Nathan Robinson, Matt Johns, and Simeon Jovic. They are going to be good players for us, hopefully soon, and we expect them to be very good players in the future. So we feel very fortunate about signing those players in the spring. So happy about that. Our staff, Coach G, very important, stayed on from the previous staff. He has really helped with my transition, our transition, with the administration, with compliance, with player relationships. He's great on campus and in the community, so that's been a big plus for us. We hired Brad Davidson, who came from North Dakota. He was 2 years up at North Dakota, went to an NCAA tournament, but he is from Australia. He played 13 years at the highest level of professional basketball in Australia. He is a very good teacher, high energy, very good person, and is really going to help with our international recruiting. We will spend time in Australia recruiting. Luke Dallariva was with me at Grand Canyon for 4 years as our basketball ops person, and I thought it was very important to bring somebody in that knew me, my expectations, how I like to do film, how I like to do scouting reports, terminology, and so Luke has just started. He is from Ohio, very smart, wanted to get out on the road, wanted to get on the floor, so he went from basketball ops at GCU to an assistant coach. And then we hired Casey Kasperbauer for basketball ops. Coach Boots called me when I got the job, and he said, Casey wants to be a college coach. And a little bit unusual, Casey has played for Coach Boots. He played for Coach James. He played for Coach Smith. Obviously, everybody knows him here. He's a great young man, great in the community, great on campus, very bright young man, and he's going to be a very good coach one day. We've had 15 practices so far. The players are getting acclimated to me and our staff, and we're getting acclimated to our players. A little bit different. Dawn has got, you know, her program is talking about the players and who she has coming back, and she's got such a great program. She's been here, great success. We're getting everybody acclimated to each other. You know, I think our guys talk about details and what's expected of them. If you go back and talk to any of my former players, they'll tell you the same thing, details. I think that's very important. The one thing is that is the biggest challenge, not only for our staff but for our players. It's a totally new system for everybody. So the only person who knows the system is me. So have to do a lot of teaching. You know, at times it's frustrating, but we've got some great veteran players that know how to win and know how to compete, so that helps. But, you know, it takes a lot to teach. Different terminology. We're playing defense differently. We're running offense differently. We run the break differently. So there's a lot of things that our guys have to learn. And they're doing a good job. It's just a whole new system. So our schedule is very challenging. We start out, we do have an exhibition game on October 30th, so it's coming up quick. November 7th is our first real game. It's part of our MTE, so we're playing a non-D1. We have Northern Arizona on November 12th, and then we go to the Bahamas, and I think Hags talked about that. That's going to be a big challenge. High Point, Tubby Smith's the head coach there, always one of the best coaches in the country. He goes back to his alma mater, and he has his whole team back. UMBC is the team that beat Virginia last year in the NCAA tournament, and then Air Force from the Mountain West. So that's going to be a tough tournament. We go to Baylor, go to Colorado State. We're at Kansas. It's definitely going to prepare us for you know, our league play. I will say it's great to be back home in South Dakota. You know, I graduated from here in 1986. I used to come back here to visit my family in Sioux Falls. I would come visit Coach Boots, and he would take me out to the bluffs. We'd play golf. We'd go down to the dunes and play golf. And I always got to see some of the new buildings on campus. You know, when you come back now, you're just blown away by the facilities. We've talked about how great they are. I get to go see my family a lot in Sioux Falls, see a lot of old friends, unbelievable. The people of Vermilion, they're just like they were when I went to school here. They're great people. So it is really great to be back. Our administration has also been great. You know, President Gestring's new president, President Abbott, along with Dave Herbster, Dave Williams are the people that hired me. Everything that Dave Herbster, Dave Williams said, promised is true about everything from the way they run it to the administration to the facilities to how the people are. So I'm very grateful for that. And I've been at a lot of schools. You know, I've been around to a number of universities, coached a lot of places. This is a very special place. I'm very happy to be back. Thank you.
Ready for questions? Coach, there's been a lot made of so far on learning a system, and the guys talked about terminology, and you use that as well. Early season success could be dictated on how those guys are adapting to your system. So how have you seen that process come along here in what has really been a short time?
Well, there are some things that we're doing that they did in the past. There's a million different ways to coach. I try to keep it as simple as possible, but as the guys said, it is very detail-oriented. And you can tell listening to them that that's the way they see it, and that's what they should, and I harp on that. But I think every program I've been at, if you go back and talk to guys 20 years ago, they'll tell you the same thing. That's how coach is. I do believe you're right. It's going to be tough. We may be better later on in the year than we are early because of trying to learn a new system, learn everything. And I try not to make them overthink because if you overthink, you can't play hard. I want them to react and just get after it. So I try to keep it as simple as possible, but it is a concern with guys, and it's a concern with our staff because our staff is learning the system too. So hopefully we'll adjust well enough early and have some success, but could be middle, towards the end of the year, we're a lot better than we were early in the year.
Todd, when you look at the schedule, how do you anticipate that impacting that learning curve? Is it a good thing or a bad thing to face the kind of schedule that you are, especially in the non-conference?
Well, I think it's a good thing. You know, we'll get a tough challenge right away going to the Bahamas. We come back and we have a 7 or 8 day break before we go to Baylor, and we'll be able to get some things in then and maybe change some things or adjust. But I think it's good for a challenge for our guys to face and get excited about and play good competition. So, and I know the fans want to see good competition and they want to see us playing great schools. And we've talked to Dave and Dave about the scheduling philosophy, and we want to play really good schools. We want to prepare our team for the Summit League. We want to prepare our guys to have challenges. We want them to go to great places to play, whether it's MTEs or high major opponents. So we're going to do that every year. It's just this year with the new players and the new system, it'll be a challenge. But hopefully we get through it all right and guys learn from it.
You kind of mentioned about the difficulty of coming into a program and inheriting players because you weren't the guy that brought them here in the first place. And you also talked about how those guys developing the relationships and the importance of that for you. Can you just gauge the response thus far or quote unquote buy-in of those guys and just talk about how that's progressed to this point?
You know, our staff is a bunch of good guys that work really hard, and they love coaching, they love teaching. I always tell our players, you know, I get along with tough guys, I get along with team guys, and I get along with guys who love the game. And if you aren't one of those three, I don't get along with you. That's just the bottom line. They've looked at me a few times in meetings like I'm a little off. But, you know, that's all right. You know, we have a relationship. You know, I've met with a lot of them. As I mentioned, those 4 guys, TP, Hags, Tristan, and Red, are extremely important to our program. And so I've spent a lot of time talking to them. We're developing that trust. You know, I think it is a huge part of taking over a program. And, you know, I hope one day that, you know, as we go through trials and tribulations and we go through everything, practices, and they see that I care about them. They see I know what I'm doing. They see that I'm competitive, is crazy competitive. And hopefully they enjoy it. And all I can do is the guys I've had before, or the former players still call me up, still talk to me. We have a relationship. I'll have a relationship with them when they're done. But at times, I mean, you're going to go through some moments. We've already gone through a few moments, but that's going to happen. They gotta learn. And actually, what'll happen is they start figuring out when those moments are about to happen. And that's when you build trust too, and then they know, okay, it's going to be all right, and then, you know, you still. I tell them, you know, I get upset pretty quick sometimes, but as soon as it's done, it's done, and my biggest thing is treat people with respect. I treat them with respect. They treat their teammates with respect. They treat people in the community with respect. We treat everybody with respect. Doesn't mean you're not going to get upset sometimes. So you got to build that trust.
What type of player is Cody Kelly, and what are some things he's going to add to the team?
Well, Cody is a very smart player, very tough player. He's a leader. The one thing that's great is when he first got here and he started practicing, even just being a new player, he started to lead the program or help lead the program along with the guys that have been here. And they just took to him because they know he cares about the team first. They know he's tough. They know he's a good player. He's all about winning. That's all he cares about. Doesn't care about anything else. He graduated from Wyoming with a degree in kinesiology in 3 years. So he's a little bit different. He's a grad transfer with 2 years. So our guys took to him right away and said, Coach, he's really going to help us. And Tristan needed more help in the backcourt handling the ball. And there's things that Tristan does really well, attacking, closeouts, get him going downhill, get him isolated a little bit, where sometimes you can't do that, with the ball in your hands and get him off the ball and then get it to him. So Cody was my first recruit, and he's a very important player because, I just mentioned, I get along with tough guys. He's that. I get along with team guys. He's that. I get along with guys who love the game, and he's that. So.
Hagedorn's injury, what are we dealing with there?
He has got a, without getting too into the medical part, but he has a plantar fascia. He tore part of his plantar fascia. He just went to Sioux Falls up at Sanford, and he had a PRP injection. In 2 weeks, they're going to look and see how that's healing. We do not have a specific time frame right now. We hope it's quick. It could be longer. But right now, we're just waiting for a couple weeks to find out. And obviously, with him being out of practice, a couple things. One, he's a veteran, very smart player, knows how to play. We can do a lot of different things with him offensively. He has the ability to guard a post, but then space the floor and step out and have that, most posts can't guard him on the perimeter. You can run a lot of offense through him. As I said, he's very smart. He picks things up. He's been in the system or been playing here for 3 years. So we miss him, And now the thing is other players have an opportunity to step up. Stan Amude, he's gotten a lot better, and he has a chance to be a good player. But with Hags being out, him and Red right now are the 4 and the 5, and Matt Johns has got to step in, and he's a freshman. So, we've got other opportunities for other guys, but definitely hurts not having Hags out there.
Todd, you've probably noticed since you got here that there's a very proud fan base, and they'll show up on game nights, and it'll be the talk of the town, talking about Coyote basketball. What do you want fans maybe to expect for the Todd Lee brand of basketball?
Well, when they come out and see us play, I want them to feel energy from our guys. Some people talk about, well, you got to score X amount of points or whatever. You got to play really fast or shoot a lot of threes. I think fans want to feel energy. I just think they want to feel competition. I want them to feel that our guys are totally bought into competing and getting after it. They're unselfish. They cheer for each other. They play really, really hard. I want every opponent and fans to walk away and go, those guys play. I've never seen a team play that hard. I want them to feel that. And so I want our fans to feel the energy, feel the competition, see our guys having fun and cheering for each other and leaving it out there on the floor. We will be unselfish. We will play hard. We will guard really well. We will move the ball. And I just want our fans to feel our guys give it everything.
Do you have any specific goals for your next few weeks of practice before the season starts?
Well, you've heard already. We've harped on some of the details. What we run offensively. I tell the guys all the time. I've coached against some of the best players in the country, or best players and teams in the country, and I've always done the defense. So what you do is you go and figure out what's really hard to guard, and that's what you run. I mean, coaches just steal from each other. So I'm not a genius by any sense of the word, but we've got to get the details down offensively, the timing, what we're doing, and then defensively. It is a different system. So it's tough for the guys because they've really got to buy into what we do defensively. You know, last year at Grand Canyon, we led the entire country in three-point field goal percentage. It was 27%, which was 2 percentage points lower than anybody else in the country. I mean, and if you look who was second, third, fourth, and fifth, the difference is 0.3, 0.2 point. We were 2 percentage points lower than anybody. We were better than Duke. We were better than Kentucky. We were better than Virginia. We were better than anybody. There's a reason for that. We were top 10, top 11 in the country in field goal percentage defense. We guard people. We guard a certain way. There's nothing wrong with the way they played last year, but they didn't guard that way. They got to learn a new system. So they've got to learn a new system offensively and defensively, so the details of how we do it and have them buy into it. So that's what we're trying to accomplish the next few weeks. You know, it's a total buy-in to this is how we do it. And as I said before, if you ask former players that played and they came back and watched our guys play, they'd be like, he's not doing that right. They just know. That's not, you know, the details and the terminology and everything we do. So I take great pride in that. These guys will come back in 10 years and they can come to practice and they can go, Coach, why is that happening? What are you doing? I think that's a great thing. I mean, there are expectations, there are absolutes that we have in the program, offensively and defensively, that you have to do, and everybody that's ever played for me knows them. They can come back 20 years later and point them out to the players that are playing now. I think that's we talked about trust. I think that's a very comforting thing for young people. They just know this is the way it is. And so we've got 15 practices, and they don't do those things yet. I don't expect them to, but we got to get them going each day a little bit more, you know, details and how we do things and buy in. And, well, I know you want me to do that. Do you really want me to do that? No, I really want you to do that, and that's not going to change. So those are the things we're working on right now.